Welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
And today we are going to continue previewing the weeks as they come, recapping the previous week. Week 3 was a doozy. Week 4 is looking amazing. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. There's not really much to get into there. Let's start with recapping week 3. Let's put that to rest, and then we will move on. There is some crazy stuff that happened, but not too many huge games. Let's start with Chicago taking on Cleveland 6-26, and I'll let you start. And there's not much I can really say about this one, so I'll let you get your thoughts out before I start talking nonsense.
Well, you know my take on Chicago. I mean, we discussed some of it off air, but I did not get a chance to see the entire game. I got to see the second half, but even that was hard to watch, and I was kind of in and out because it was completely lopsided, and the Bears did not look like a team prepared for the season. Like, it was back in preseason mode, and I don't know what's going on with the offensive line. I'm not sure what's going on with the play calling, what the game plan technically was. Funny that Nagy has doubled down in the post game comments, in the press conferences, basically, was happy with the game plan. Was very satisfied. Felt there's gonna be highs and lows for Justin Fields. Basically nothing to be alarmed about, and ensuring him that these things come with the season. I'm just saying, I'm hearing all this. I'm just like, dude, you can miss me with all this, because this is complete BS. As from an NFL standpoint, we're talking about a professional football team that's just coming off a playoff team, I may add, and somewhat in at least contentions of staying a playoff bound team, and so they're kind of in between and in the road. But a game like this set them back so far. Like, we're back at square one in the sense of game planning. Like, okay, you can't come out with whatever the hell that whatever goals you felt you was going to accomplish against Cleveland now. And I understand they're playing Cleveland, but with that being said, I said, I reiterated even more. What type of damn game plan was that? Even in facing the competition, the way you were facing it, and positioning your offense to be set up for success, because I didn't see any of that when it came down to it. It was a very vintage, Bears QB1 running for his life all afternoon long, and in some kind of unceremonious, blowout. And I've seen, man, time and time. I mean, over the course of my lifetime watching the Bears, it's just one of those classic, bad news Bears games, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. And considering this is supposed to be, quote unquote, Justin Fields' first start, which again, as I shared, it was so unceremoniously even presented. By the time he was even named to start, it was just kind of like, it was around the way. It was an indifferent aspect of explaining and putting him out that he's starting, but we're not talking about it type thing. Like, it's just everything about this week, I was just indifferent. Something's off in Chicago, and I mean, if you don't sense it in some kind of manner, you're really not paying attention to football. So I would just set it up for that, because I know you have a lot to say. And it just might make, they can't see your face, but you unroll your eyes about 4 or 5 times, just in aspects of what you're about to say. So I'm going to decrease and let you increase, and you got the floor.
Well, let me start with Cleveland.
Right ahead.
Cleveland, that was a very incredibly balanced offensive attack. They are one of the most complete teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic 9 sacks on the day. I'm not really giving too much credence to that, given that Chicago's offensive line is that terrible. Back to Cleveland before I get to Chicago.
I know. It's very easy to veer off here. I get it.
But their offensive attack was impressive, even with how well Chicago's defense played. I mean, Baker Mayfield, 19 for 31, 246 yards. He had 1 touchdown pass. Nick Chubb, 22 carries for 84 yards. Kareem Hunt, 10 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. So
32 carries, and that's a lot.
They have an
Man.
incredible offensive attack, and
Yes.
this is a bad game for those guys because Chicago really made it hard and tough for them, especially early on, to even think about strictly running the ball. Like Chicago made it difficult for them in the first half,
And that's where depth comes in, because as you can see, they basically wore him out,
Yeah.
and to the point of it look.
Well, no, that's not what happened.
You don't think
Matt
that
Nagy wore out Chicago's defense. Matt Nagy wore out Chicago's offense. Matt Nagy solely lost this game for Chicago.
Okay, we can agree that we can at least agree that it was. Yeah, moving on. Okay, so we had Matt Nagy. So yes, yes, continue. I don't want to.
There is no other reason Chicago lost this game. The game plan itself was the problem. And I told you this. We had a full-length discussion about this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Fields, I'm sorry. You had to endure that. That was a horrible game plan. The game plan wasn't even built around Justin Fields. I don't know. That game plan looks like it was plucked straight from the beginnings of Matt Nagy trying to put something together for Andy Dalton. It looked like a very bare bones, basic Andy Dalton package. Right. And you don't run your crossing plays with you don't run any boots. They did take a step back. They did not run a single play to move the pocket until the middle of the second quarter. I just don't see how that makes any sort of a sense when you have one of the most injured and least talented offensive lines in the NFL. That game right there showed me that Chicago has the worst offensive line in the NFL as it stands right now. I mean, once we get guys back healthy, hopefully talent-wise, we can overcome these idiotic schemes we're coming up with. But as it stands right now, with all the injuries, with the lack of depth, this is the worst offensive line in the NFL. On top of that, this was the worst and most egregiously thought out game plan you could ever come up with. You don't move the pocket. You only run 5-man protection with the worst offensive line in the league over 80% of the time that you drop back to pass. You only give the ball to one of the most underrated running backs in the entire NFL 10 times in this game. Mm-hmm. I think Justin Fields only had 2 designed runs. And you only, I guess the only other time that you added protection with like a 6-man protection was another 6 dropbacks, bringing it to the 19 of his 20 dropbacks. Mm-hmm. And those were chip plays where you have the running back or the tight end chip before they go out to run their route. And against a Jadeveon Clowney, a Tack McKinley, a Myles Garrett, how do you ever possibly think that that's going to be enough to stop this defense or to just mitigate as much pass rush as they can? That is the bread and butter of their entire defense, is pass rush. Their holes are on the defensive backside. You have to protect. You have to stop them from screaming down off the edge.
Right.
On average, Justin Fields only had 0.78 seconds on his dropbacks. He did not have a second to make a read. He was set up to fail this game. And I've said it before. I have been one of the biggest defenders of Matt Nagy since he's been with the Bears. Mm-hmm. Especially after the season directly after the 12-4 year where we found out Mitch Trubisky is horrible, and especially after last year with Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky both playing like crap. This single coaching performance by Matt Nagy is the most egregious and is clearly a fireable offense to me. For coming out after 149 days after drafting Justin Fields, that is the game plan that you were able to script up. I completely agree with Dan Orlovsky. I agree with any other pundit that comes out and says that Matt Nagy should be fired. The local host of the NBC show for the Chicago Bears, he said Matt Nagy should have been fired for this single performance. There's a lot of criticisms that Matt Nagy has gotten in the past that I've defended him for, and I think rightfully so. I should have defended him for, but this single-handedly, this game plan single-handedly should get him a pink slip in his office the very next day, which didn't happen. Obviously, he's still there.
Correct.
And now we have to trot back in, hoping that all of the backlash has been heard, and to fix this game plan going into this Detroit game. And it really, really concerns me that we're saying that all three quarterbacks are on the table for being played next week as a starter. No, Justin Fields is the freaking starter.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you need a far better game plan to go up against Detroit.
Do you know why he stated that? Do you have any idea? Out of curiosity.
Do I know why he said it?
There's a why
There's
to
a Justin Fields hurt his hand, so he's technically injured, but that injury is BS. He's fine. He's ready to go. Right. He has nothing more than hurt feelings after you trotted him out there literally to die. The game plan was make Justin Fields look as ass as possible so that I can save face in saying that he wasn't ready to play football, which is BS. That game plan wasn't ready for football. That game plan isn't ready for college football. That game plan isn't ready for high school football.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that was the case, if that's what he's coming, if that's
it was either
if that's his premise, it still comes back on Nagy at the end of the day.
Because it's either you sabotage Justin Fields from the start and you knew what the hell you were doing, or you're that bad of a head coach that you thought that really was going to get you in contention to fight against the Cleveland frickin' Browns.
Right.
Both, either way, fired.
Yeah. 30% completion. I mean, the offense was horrendous.
I mean, 6 for 20, 68 yards, 0 touchdowns from Justin Fields. And not to say that Justin Fields didn't play poorly. Yes, he did. But Dan Orlovsky, I think, said it the best. Matt Nagy didn't do anything to allow him to play anything but poorly. You didn't give him a chance to play well. You didn't give him an opportunity to play well.
I mean, even go break the numbers down even further. I mean, man, it's 6 first downs for the entire game. 1 for 11 on third down plays.
One drive made it into the red zone.
Wow. And a 1.1 yard per offensive per play.
One net passing yard on the day.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. With 62 other net yards. And that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at this just from the aspect of the offense, not from necessarily Justin Fields' stat line per se.
Yeah.
And yes, I champion your cause. And welcome to the conversation, because you already knew I was big on Nagy just from his Kansas City ties, and it's just something I've seen like late last season until going into the draft. It was just like I was just kind of getting. I was souring on him.
Yeah.
And just, dude, what in the hell are we doing? And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm not sure what the meetings were about. I'm not sure how much his ass is on the chopping blocks or not, and how distracted or not distracted he is.
This single performance should put you on the hot seat. Like this, if you come out and play if this team looks anything, and we'll get to it in later in the show, if this team looks anything like they did against Cleveland at home versus the Lions, Matt Nagy needs to be gone today. Like the second that final whistle blows, Ted Phillips needs to come down from the office, hand him the pink slip. Sorry, bud, you're not going out to talk to the media.
Is that when that's when, no sooner the game going off and we transitioning, and all of a sudden I got a bunch of ESPN alerts going. That gets been immediately removed.
Yeah. Same thing that happened to Jay Gruden. Same thing that happened to Ron Rivera. The second that game is over, sorry, bud, we're done. If this team looks anywhere remotely close to, because The only thing that you could say is it's Cleveland, one of the most complete teams in the entire NFL. How else did you expect us to play?
Right.
Not better than that. Way better than that.
Right.
Looked somewhat respectable, maybe. Because you have the weapons. You have the quarterback. You have the defense. The only thing you don't have is the goddamn offensive line. But there are ways around that. Moving the fucking pocket. Oh my God. One time in the first half, you moved the pocket, and it took you all the way until the midway through the second quarter?
Mm.
As a head coach, what the hell are you looking at that you're not changing the game plan mid fucking drive?
Right.
What are we I'm not even saying mid drive, because at the end of the day, we went 3 and out like 82 times. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this is again, and as I was sharing with you, I'm very curious to see what is the game plan going forward for this offense in this season, because this you can't look at this just as we can't chalk this up. Any serious franchise that's really evaluating a team cannot chalk this up just as a bad week or a bad game.
Absolutely not.
This is an indictment on
the entire organization,
and exactly as to where we really are. Yeah, we got Justin Fields. Yeah, we have some, good defensive players in place, and we got a nice defense, and we got nice pieces on our offense. But the question still remains: where the hell is this team going? And what is the true direction? Because a game like this is exposed Chicago for what it is, man. And right now, I mean, I'm not sitting there saying I know we go back and forth about they're rebuilding and this and that, whatever they're doing.
Yeah,
it's not working, and I think we need some more defined terms as to what's the direction of this team is. It don't need to be secretive. It don't need to be coded, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to win a title here in the NFL. So
I completely disagree with you, because I don't believe Ted Phillips is trying to win a title here. I don't believe Ryan Pace is trying to win a title.
I said
the only person that wants to win a title here, I think, is truly Matt Nagy. But with that game plan, you don't look like the head coach to do it. And Ted Phillips, he looks like he's just trying to buy time until McCaskey sells the team or dies.
Could be. But this has been an issue that's been going on for years. But with that, I partially can sit there and agree and say maybe the Bears organization is not trying to win titles, because Chicago sports run their businesses are quite different than other teams in other franchises in other cities, where in that context, I agree. But at the end of the day, I'm saying the existence of a football team should be there to win titles, not just to fill seats, get good PR, and have a money-making firm running for you, which is what you see a lot in Chicago, because we do have to question at times in the different years for these different franchises, what is the goal here? Are we even trying to win titles, or are we just trying to be relevant? And relevancy is, if you're not winning in the NFL, I'm sorry, this day and age, you're not relevant. It's just simple as that. And
tell Jacksonville.
Thank you. I mean, I can't continue to, go on and praise them for what they did in the draft and the offseason. But now look how that translates to the field, which I'm not sitting there shocked. But my point being is, look, even with a good draft, just think if they had a bad draft, it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
That's my point. And this Chicago thing, whether it's Ted Phillips, whether it's Nagy, or whether it's Pace, or whoever is to be to point the finger at, not to point all the fingers at all three of them or two of the three, whatever the case. But the point being is, we can agree there's an issue going on here with this franchise. And I mean, as early as it is in the season to say this, I'm saying it almost like it can't even be fixed this year. Like there's a problem, and that has not really been assessed properly. And this game did nothing more than just expose it. Period and point blank, because I mean, to sit there and see, to write a narrative of, Andy Dalton went down in an injury, then they put out a rookie quarterback that just wasn't ready, and I wish we could just say it with that. That's what happened, and that is not. That couldn't be further from the truth. That's what I'm getting at, and yet that's what it. Outside looking in, one could have said that's just what happened. Unfortunately, that is not what happened, and there is. I don't know. I even after what you're saying, I don't have a solution to this. I have no idea what they can do.
Again, I picked Cleveland to win this game. I did not expect Chicago to win this game. It's
not
the fact
this.
Yeah, the way you lose tells me so much more about the organization itself.
Yeah.
Than you would hope, because at the end of the day, We're not talking about Indianapolis like this. And Chicago has a goddamn win. But we're not talking about Indy like this. We're not talking about even the Lions like this.
No, not at all.
We're actually praising the Lions today. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. This was single-handedly the worst Chicago toilet bowl award for the week. That was horrible. There is no other way around it. I don't want to get too much into it.
No, it's fine.
It's really I'm pissed, as you can hear.
I think you said enough on it, but you got the floor still.
Congrats, Cleveland. Good win. Great game all around for all of you. Baker Mayfield looked awesome. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, greatest tandem in the backfield out of anybody in the league.
Yes.
Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Tack McKinley, all around. Round of applause for you guys. Chicago, do better.
Yes, please do.
All right. Now to talk about your heartbreak. The Chargers.
Oh, you really want to do that? Okay.
Trot into.
Okay.
I want to talk. There's two quick things I want to talk about with this. Not too
bang,
much.
Bang, I got
it. I'm going in sequential order.
Out the gate, I see. We could have went back to Thursday night, but that's fine.
There's nothing to talk about there.
No, I'm just
Chargers take on Kansas City. 30. They win it 30-24. Congrats to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I'm not congratulating him. I'm just not. Go ahead.
You take a second here. I'll let you have the floor in a second.
BS. I mean, complete BS.
The Chargers played up to the task in this game. We got Justin Herbert, 26 for 38, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. Mike Williams, 7 receptions, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played well above his weight in this game.
Oh, could we stop, please? Best game of his career. Let's stop. It's a career game.
I will let you talk about him in a second.
Okay.
I know you got. Wow. I know you got notes over there.
No,
you
I
just
don't.
Take a second.
All right here.
Take a beat.
No,
take a beat.
Right there. I'm just saying, call a spade a spade. Best game of his life.
Yes, very much so.
Moving on.
What I will need to get to though is Kansas City. This here, they got to be better ball security wise. Because single-handedly, 4 turnovers is not going to get you anywhere near competing against a team like the Chargers. The Chargers deserve this win. If we really want to look at it. Kansas City, sloppy play. First half and second half. Just sloppy all the way around. Right. And I will say congrats to the Chargers defense because they did do everything that they could to shut down a Tyreek Hill. They let Travis Kelce do his thing just like Baltimore did. And CEH took care of the ball as much as he could. I mean, again, another fumble this week. So, again, ball security is an issue. Tyreek Hill, a fumble. Ball security, an issue. Mahomes, 2 bad interceptions. One bad interception. The other one that was tipped.
Mm-hmm. We already discussed
that one. That one's not his fault. And I for the people saying that he needs to stop doing the no-look passes, that no-look pass was on a dime. That was one of the prettiest throws of the day. It's just a matter of, I think that was the backup tight end who popped it up in the air, or was that Kelce he was throwing to on that play? Do you remember?
I didn't catch the play. Unfortunately,
I'm almost positive it was the backup tight end. He just wasn't ready for it.
Fortune.
Yeah, and it popped up in the air, and forget his name. The young, I think he's a rookie corner over there for the Chargers, picked it off. It's his second pick of the year. So congrats to that defense for doing what they could. I mean, holding Kansas City to 24 points, that in itself is a feat. And then the Chargers not losing the game. That's what they're known for, is they just giving the game away in the fourth quarter.
Gilman is Samuel Jr.
Asante Samuel, that's who it was.
Yep.
Yeah, they played good on the defensive side, and it was a matter of Kansas City's turnovers just killed their offense. You can't turn over the ball 4 times and be -3 in the turnover category and expect to win a game, a divisional game against a truly actually formidable opponent in the Chargers. You can't expect to win that game playing like that.
No, and which baffles me because I mean they basically, if they did nothing else, they pretty much held the one silver lining here from their defense was their front seven.
Yeah.
And they were able to really shut down that rush attack, which you should not have lost this game when doing things like that. But that is just speaking to this glaring issue that we have. And remember, we started with the Chiefs secondary, and we was going on in off season and so on and so forth. Got to go beyond this whole defensive unit. I'm saying this as a Chiefs fan. I'm saying it's like it was hard to watch this.
Yeah.
Like, their defense is a liability. And, I'm getting a few calls and like, hey, quiet as kept, they should be 0-3.
Come on.
Okay. That's one way of looking at it. And quiet as kept. Give a play here, a play there, they could be 3-0.
Yeah.
It's they won and lost all into close games. That's so it's
but they're shooting themselves in the foot defensively and offensively. The bad turnovers. I mean, obviously the worst interception last week against Baltimore in Patrick Mahomes' career. That was just an egregious. Why are you trying to fit that into that window? That's just bad football.
Right.
And then this week, the 2 interceptions. The one, again, another bad throw. The second one, that's just, you got to be on the same page with your receiver, and he's got to be better, and everybody's got to play better. But then also the fumbles. The fumbles can't happen like this. You need to take care of the football.
Putting the ball
on the grass. That is the cardinal sin of any offense. You do not fumble the ball. Hey, Petey told us all this. Like, let's get back to our roots here. You drop that football, I'm gonna break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts, and then you will run a mile. Like, you can't do that. And to do it twice in the game, it's in the fashion that they happened, it really slowed down their momentum trying to get back into the game in the first place. And that's where they really took it. And let's really go back and look at this. They were only down by 3 at one point in this game. And they are always in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They were always only one possession away.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened that the Chargers jumped on top, and once they held on in the fourth quarter, they just rode it out. And I think that is a very commendable feat for the Chargers, especially with their history against all teams in the NFL. Just being the end of games, just somehow they get a bad beat. They look like the history of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, but this just shots fired now because granted, we could sit there. I always do it, and most people have done it. We throw out the game, week 17 last year with Chad Henne led, Chiefs who lost to the Chargers at the end of the nothing meaningless game. However, they only lost 2 straight. Patrick Mahomes is back, and you were in freaking Arrowhead. Yeah. So this is a devastating loss. Now you're on back-to-back losses. Yes, you lost a close one and a nail-biter last week, and no one's eating their lunch about that. But now you come back with this. Granted, yes, oh, my God, they played you could sit there and be like, yeah, they played the Browns, and then they had to play Baltimore. Now they had to play the Chargers. I'm like, and I get that. But if you're in being that team, mm-hmm. you have to at least walk out of there with 2-1. I will give you 1, but they was not supposed to drop this.
Yeah, this was a bad one for the Chiefs.
This is worse than last week. Yeah. This is way worse. And
I mean, going into the season, I had the Chiefs losing versus Baltimore. I just did not have the guts to do it last week. Could have had another good pick there, but that's on me. That's my fault.
And this entire AFC West is just topsy-turvy right now.
Oh yeah.
Because we're talking about the Chargers, and yada yada.
The AFC in general. You have the.
No, hold on. Give me. I mean, as much as I'm about to start giving the Chargers their flowers. They're not even in first place in the division. No. I'm like, oh my God! I don't want to start.
Well, Denver's a fraud right now. Their opponents are 0-9.
However, 3-0 is 3-0.
Yeah, you got to play the schedule, so right. They're supposed to be there.
That's what I'm saying. When we're looking at the Chiefs at 1-2 versus the Denver at 3-0, yeah. Power rankings. What do you got? It's light and day. Yeah. I'll take that 1-2 team any day. Boise State and Alabama. Yeah. That's what we're looking at.
100%.
Right so okay, moving on. Okay, but. Am I upset? Of course I am. I think I've been very good on this podcast about how I really feel about the Chiefs, good
Yeah.
or bad, and I have
I
tried to
mean,
stay
I
even.
think we both
I'm
have been
more passionate
completely
about
honest about our
Chicago,
fandoms.
yes, and I've been more. I just think I've been able to hold my emotions
Yeah.
intact about the Chiefs because I I, I want to sit there and say as much as I want to say they're in trouble. There's some issues here. The thing was in Chicago, and I'm just this is just a quick reference. It's just so much greater even than this,
Yeah.
which is like, oh my god. Like as much as I want to soak over this, there's a greater issue going
Yeah.
on even in
True.
the NFL. So
Let's put that to rest for now.
I'll keep it in perspective. They got to do something with this defense, and this is the sad part. So I'm sitting here looking at this, and I'm like, okay, first thing going to my head, what can Kansas City do to start addressing some of these issues? Now I'm circling back to the wagons back in the off season. Oh man, how about if they just they go back and and the age they go back and reach back out to Richard Sherman. Man, they could really you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
No, so then I woke up this morning. Richard Sherman is over in Tampa Bay working out.
Yep.
I'm left. See, this Kansas City to me now, and I'm starting to put all this together. Juju don't pass on them.
Yeah.
You know, they Galladay ain't even take an offer. He didn't even take the trip. You know,
Yeah.
and you can't get any defensive players over here out. You know, beyond maybe you can snag a linebacker from somewhere, but they can't get anything in the backfield. They can't add any pieces anywhere whatsoever. They lose KJ Wright over to the Raiders. You know,
Raiders,
another division rival, and the Raiders looking great right now, by the way. And I'm like, if there's anybody in trouble in the AFC West right now, it's Kansas City. They're the most team that's in turmoil right now.
Yeah.
Considering going into week 4, which makes
me,
no freaking
still
sense.
Like, to me, again, I would tell everybody, do not hit the panic button. They lost to two very, very, very good, very talented AFC teams.
We have already discussed.
The only thing is that you lost this game at home. That's the only concern to me, truly.
True. And I'm saying this context has always been, and I don't even feel we need to keep saying it, but I'm just gonna preface it for the last time. This is based on they're on the first 7 weeks of Murderer's Row.
Yeah.
Next week's game is as easy as it's gonna get for them. Philadelphia. That's the easiest. God, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the
Philadelphia's
easiest.
not an easy out either.
That's what I'm getting at. They're never an easy out, even if they're the easiest thing on the schedule. That's what I'm saying. That's as easy as it gets for them. And yeah, and now that they dropped one extra game, oh my God, they got about another 3-4 weeks to make up this 2-game losing streak. So with that, I'm congratulations, Chargers.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
I'm just saying, good defensive aspect, holding the Chiefs under 30. I mean, that's a real stat. But
no, that's what I'm saying. You should be proud of your team to hold them to only 24 points. Yeah, for the Chiefs, that's a huge feat.
Yeah, they can do that in one quarter. If they literally.
You're right.
I know it sounds funny, but no, they really.
That's
can do
an
that.
actual stat.
They really do stuff like that. You know, the second quarter. Oh my God. Yes. You know, that's what I'm saying, and yet you held them. You know, and outscored them in the fourth quarter. That was huge. So you kept the pressure on
16
them.
Points in the fourth quarter. That's huge. That's a massive.
That's what I'm saying. They closed the game out. Yeah. And they
Justin
did
Herbert
everything
played.
Right.
That was a game. That was a fourth quarter led by Justin Herbert, hitting his spots, handing the ball off where he needs to, letting Austin Eckler control the pace of the game by. Hey, just 3 yards. I don't need you to hit a home run 15-yard play and get the first down. I can throw for the first down. Right. I just need you to keep us on schedule.
Yep.
That's it. And they kept doing it.
Used them as needed. Yeah. You know, didn't press it. Well, with that being said,
went to Roundtree whenever they needed to.
Yeah. I mean, Kansas City, y'all didn't press them, and that was the problem. Yeah. You know, so they took something, a basic package in their run game and was able to still find success in that simply because Kansas City just did not bring it. When they needed to, and they needed the big stops, they did not come. You know, and that again, that defense is exposed. Andy Reid, I'm a fan, but seriously, you got to do something. This can't be like we'll just be better next week. No, that's not gonna get it. I'm sorry. And I'm over here watching Tampa Bay about to get ready and load up, and I'm like, man, God. If that ain't a shot, that should be a shot to them. I'm like, y'all, their organization should be on the phone all day today, just on the phone, making calls. Yeah. they,
They need to do
possible
something
trade scenarios,
defensively
something.
because that's a hole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be able to compete playing like this. I'm sorry, because if we got
I
to,
honestly, even if they kept what they have, I think they'll be fine. They need to play because they need
it's requiring too much offense week in,
no,
week
it
out.
requires the offense specifically. They need to be more careful with the football. They need to covet the football a little bit more. I think that I think the one thing about Kansas City is that they're getting a bit too comfortable saying, "Hey, we're gonna have another shot at this. We'll be just fine." Hey, shake that off. No, you need to feel these turnovers a little bit more. You need to when that turnover happens,
Mm-hmm.
you can't let it continue to happen. Somebody puts the ball on the ground, whether it's Tyreek Hill, CEH, whoever the fullback is, it doesn't matter. If you put the ball on the ground, it needs to never happen again in that game.
They don't have a fullback.
Oh, okay, he retired.
Yeah, a bunch of tight ends
yeah.
right now.
But what I'm saying is you need to covet the football way more because even though you do have one of the most high-powered offenses in the entire NFL, the turnovers are always going to be a momentum killer. You need to covet the ball because you need to be able to control the pace of the game. And CEH, you can't keep fumbling the ball because then they can't trust you in those late moments to go to you to go and continue to bleed the clock.
But their receiving game was suspect as well. They're too top heavy. It's like you got Travis
you need
Kelce.
To use
they're
Pringle.
force
We talked
feeding.
about it. We need
you
to
did.
use
That's
Pringle.
Where I'm gonna go. They keep trying to force feed Tyreek Hill now. If they take Tyreek Hill out, just say they double, triple coverage him. Who was the next guy up? And I'm not saying from the receivers aspect. This is going to Patrick Mahomes and his play selection and who he's targeting.
Mm-hmm.
Demarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman shouldn't have only 6 targets combined amongst the both of them in the entire game. That's like almost one damn target per quarter amongst two receivers who are technically starters.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then you only have 5 receiving
options
targets to the running backs crew altogether.
Yeah.
What in his it was basically Travis Kelce or nothing. And I'm like, kudos to the Chargers, but I'm just from the Kansas City aspect. What the hell is going on? And that's what I'm saying. Even to the high-powered offense, there was still some glaring holes going on the offense, on top of 4 turnovers. Which
I think because even with that, all of the other stuff, you eliminate the turnovers. That's more scoring opportunities. That's what I'm saying. Because as long as you have the ball, you have the opportunity to go down and get into field goal range, get another score. Doesn't really matter how the points come. It's a matter of giving yourself the opportunity to go get those points. So that's where I want to see them get better. Now, if they do that and it still doesn't work, that's when you really should be concerned about the fact that they're not getting Pringle involved enough, or they're not taking care of the run game enough. That I understand. But at the end of the day, I feel like the second that they get these turnovers under wraps, this is going to be the team that we thought that they were at the beginning of the season. Because this is also hurting the defense, putting the defense in bad spots, and it's making the defense look worse than it is. Granted, it's bad. There's stuff that needs to be addressed there, but it isn't helping that the offense is turning the ball over in giving short fields to some actually really good teams. So let's leave it there. We got 3 more games that I think we really need to highlight. 2 that don't need too much time. Other ones that might need another quick second to talk about. But let's start quickly on Pittsburgh losing to Cincinnati. Cincinnati gets them on the road 24-10. I think we don't have to get too much into this. This is simple. Cincinnati capitalized off the turnovers, first of all. So congrats, Joe Burrow, 14 for 18, 172, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Mixon, a healthy Mixon is actually a really good football player, 18 carries for 90 yards. I mean, that is a solid game, and they were really able to control the pace of the game with that alone.
5 yards per carry average. I mean, he was solid. Yeah.
100%. But Pittsburgh, whoo, boy, do you got some explaining to do, because, man, talk about a fraud coming into the season. I've been pounding my desk about this. Offensive line for Pittsburgh is horrible. It is right there with Chicago. Yeah. Chicago is the worst. Pittsburgh's the second worst. This offensive line, and Granted, Big Ben looks like he just gave up in the middle of this game. It looks like he was ready to retire in the middle of this game. But this offensive line, Najee Harris when you're only giving the ball to Harris 14 times. No, that's just his receptions.
No, that's his running.
Yeah. He did. He had 14 carries. 28 total touches, which is awesome. But 14 carries for 40 yards in a game that is only a 2-possession game.
Yeah.
Whoa, come on. We got to be better than that. You got to be able to control the game a little bit more. But the reason why they couldn't is because the offensive line couldn't get any push up front.
Right.
They were sitting in Najee Harris's lap the entire game, and he got nowhere with the football. The fact that he got 40 yards is actually quite the feat.
And then as you could see, that they went total pass, and they were just playing from behind, and it's what Pittsburgh has been doing for the last year or two. It's just air it out
win with throwing the ball 58 times. Nobody does.
I mean, we seen this last year. When it's all said and done, he's at 518 yards. And like, what? And a loss. And it'd be like, what in the world are y'all doing, man? And it's more of the same. Any bright spot? You do have something over there with Najee Harris, but they're gonna need a quarterback. They need an offensive line. They need defense. Them in Chicago almost are mirroring the same issues that they having from one team to the other.
No, because they got coaching.
Different varies of degrees, but I'm saying issues. But yeah, there's a coach.
There's a coach in Pittsburgh, so they're fine. They need the talent that Chicago has. Honestly, hey, Mike Tomlin, come to Chicago, please. Yeah, I just had to reiterate it because I've been pounding my desk about this, and I feel validated after watching this game. And hey, congrats to Cincinnati. They're at the top of the AFC North right now.
This is a shocker. I mean, Cincinnati just doesn't go into Pittsburgh,
and Cincinnati has a real good opportunity to go 3-1 on a short week here.
Yeah, they could. But again, this is this Pittsburgh effect. And again, I don't say too much because I'm never going to be able to can't make heads or tails of this team outside of their bad.
Well, we'll leave it there then.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay goes
team.
on the road. They take on the Rams in the game of the week. And Tampa Bay takes their first loss of the season, 24-34. Rams get the win there, and I think it's hands down. The Rams are the best team in the NFL right now. I know you got.
Yes, no.
I know you got somebody else at the top, but we'll get to power
they're
rankings
right
in a
there.
minute here.
They're the best in the NFC. They're the best in the NFC.
To me, the Rams are clearly the best team in the NFL. But let's just focus on their offense. That is one of the most lethal offenses in the entire NFL. This offense is so hard to stop. Stafford, 27 for 38, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson, 3 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown. And I guess they have the fastest coach in the NFL. Jesus Christ. Cooper Kupp, though, this is the new duo. This is the most dynamic quarterback wide receiver duo of the 2021 season. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just his favorite target everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter where they are on the field. He is looking for Cooper Kupp.
Exactly.
And then Sony Michel controlling the game. He only had 67 yards, but hey, controlled the pace of the game, 20 carries, kept bleeding the clock, was not letting Tampa Bay get back on the field. And Tampa Bay really never stood a chance in this game. They never looked like they were going to be up to the task to even fight to be in this game. I think the final score is kind of deceptive, saying that they were only down by 2 possessions, by 10 points.
Right.
No, this looked like the Rams were running away with this the entire game.
Which they did. They just, once they started getting going in the second quarter, they just kept their foot on the pedal.
Yeah.
And and was able to at least keep it out of, keep it a 2-possession scoring game by the fourth quarter, run the clock down, and just they control the game. Again, best team in their division, best team definitely in their conference. We can almost say you can argue that it's the best team in the league right now, and that's fine. It's a fair argument, but we're talking about power rankings, so
we'll get to that.
So that's a whole different subject. But my point being is that they're that team.
Yeah.
This was we said it. We discussed it a little bit last week. This was going to be a statement game. I mean, win or lose for either team, and you didn't want to be on the short end of this loss. Now, Tampa Bay takes a bit of a hit, but they lost to look who they lost to. They lost to a superior team. You take nothing away from it. I
I
mean,
mean, you just want to go back and look at just Tom Brady stats. He threw for over 400 yards. I mean, they didn't have a
432.
bad game by any means. It was just a
No.
matter of you went up against a buzzsaw and you got caught.
Yeah, and I mean, and Nate's stout defense did what they could. There was a couple of injuries that came out of it, but what this is what you expect. There got to be a winner and a loser. I mean, this is like going back to week one. I mean, between Kansas City and Cleveland, someone had to lose.
Mhm.
This is one of those games again. And well, the Rams, you got me curious now because I'm like, I needed to see a quality win. Yeah, you beat Chicago in week one. All right, can't take too much from that.
Week one and in Chicago.
Right. I'm just saying. Now here we are. You're 3-0. And now you beat Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay came to your house. You held home court, which is home field as you should have, and won a statement game and letting the league and the country know we're here.
Yeah.
So
it seems for real. It's a solid team. There's not really too much you can say, but this offense is a buzzsaw, and that defense is hard to score on. So it's just really as simple as that. To wrap things up, I think we should talk about, unfortunately, Green Bay. God dang it! I don't know how they pulled it. We know how they pulled this one out. 30-28. This was a frustrating one for a Bears fan. After watching what happened in the Bears game, and then watching the 49ers come all the way back in this game and lead and then give it up in the last 30 seconds of the game, frustrating. But you can't give Aaron Rodgers 30-plus seconds only needing a field goal with a one-possession game. You just can't do that. They needed to run that clock a little bit better. You had 3 freaking timeouts. What do you do? God.
I don't know. I know it's hindsight 50-50.
I know.
Even at that time, I was saying this, so I'm just going to share it now. When they was on 4th down, go for it. I'm just like, don't punt the damn ball. I don't care.
They did. They went for
it. On the 4th down?
Yeah, they got it. That's how they stayed in the game.
No. Not Green Bay. I'm talking about San Francisco before they punted it the last time for the last possession.
The last possession they scored, they never got the ball back.
Before that, the last time they had the ball, and then their last possession when they were out in 4th down and they punted. That's what I'm saying. I'm like my point being is I was of the opinion I understand what was at stake here, but I understood you punt this ball. I don't think y'all gonna win the game, and that's how I felt. So to the point of you need to go for it on 4th. I'm sorry, you need to keep the ball. Do not give this team the ball back because you putting yourself at.
Well, they did. So their second to last possession they punted. They did hold them, though, and it worked, and then they came down, and they scored. That's what got them up 28-27. So they did the right thing, I think. I mean, I get what you're saying. You could go for it there, and you can risk it.
Maybe I'm getting the possessions wrong. They didn't just stall the ball. Whatever it was.
At the end of the game, their last possession, what they needed to do, once they got into the red zone, they had that big play to George Kittle. He got him all the way down into the red zone. Mm-hmm. Right there, the next play, you don't need to throw the ball to Kyle Juszczyk. Right. You could and let Kyle Juszczyk go down. I understand that you're having issues with your running game, but you have this entire second half been able to score.
Right.
So you don't need to worry about that. All you need to do is bleed the clock, and you have 3 timeouts. You have the time. You have 37 seconds left. Go down, let the clock bleed a little bit, get it under 30 seconds, get it down to under 20 seconds, and you don't give them the opportunity. Then you can play prevent defense because all they need is a field goal.
Right.
So when you only give them the opportunity to get down the field and then they have to clock it and you only got 10 seconds, that doesn't work. It was shown like they really weren't going to be able to do anything like that throughout the game, but it's just frustrating because I don't even think that last drive from Green Bay lost them the game. It was really the fact that San Francisco came out flat and spotted Green Bay 17 points to start the game.
Right.
If you come out ready to play, then you're fine because you'll be able to move the ball. The defense is going to be able to stay in the game a little bit more. They're going to be a little bit more engaged. Mm-hmm. It just, when you spot a team like that, 17 points, and then you fight all the way back like that, that's a heartbreaking loss, and that's going to take an emotional toll on them, I believe. But I will say on the Green Bay side, I am a bit concerned about Green Bay's defense, strictly because you're up 17-0. At any point, how the hell did this team come back and ever have a lead? That's a concern to me.
Yeah, I mean, but this is something that we always seem to ignore year in and year out because nothing much changes in Green Bay. It's usually just their defense has been basically protected and covered based on that extreme greatness of Aaron Rodgers in the offense. But yeah, they're exposed. And they're good. Their best defense is their offense. That's how they play. They game script and come out with these schemes defensively week in and week out, and you just never know what's going to come from this Jekyll and Hyde defense that they have. You don't know who's showing up and which defense is going to show up. Is it going to be this all of a sudden shut it down defense that you see a lot of times at Lambeau, or is it just they go on the road and they play in like a San Francisco, somebody that is an actual contender, a Super Bowl contender for that matter. And yeah, you're on the road, but as you said, if you got a 17-point lead, you got to keep your foot on their neck and keep it moving. And no, they let them back in the game. And yeah, you held on and you win, and they'll take that. And but of course, no one's going to. All they're going to do chalk this up as is just look at the heroics of Aaron Rodgers and come on now, I mean, there's a lot to be pulled from this game that we can talk about, but yeah, there's a problem on that defensive end, and which is speaking from looking at these top teams and are these real contenders? Well, that's something to be said there. Like you got the Rams up there, you got Tampa Bay, you San Francisco, and then you got Green Bay. I'm like, seriously, like, what are you really going to compete for with a defense like this? With a defense that's giving up these type of points, or defense who can't sustain leads, and they go up 17. Okay, I'm giving you the heroics of Aaron Rodgers, and then all of a sudden by the half, it's almost down there tied. Like what the hell?
Yeah, they need to be better. Well, hey, Green Bay, keep it up. Just,
now
you keep doing that. I'll just be fine.
Go right ahead.
No, if you're looking to win, you got to be better than that.
San Francisco had no business after mounting this type of comeback, losing
absolutely
this game.
Not.
It's like, why even come back if you're going to do this at the end?
That was a tragic part. Fred Warner, you got to feel bad about not dropping back deep. That's one of those reads that I was just like, there's nobody coming underneath, and if they are, let them. Why are you not dropping back to stop Davante Adams? That's the only everybody knew where the ball was going.
Yeah,
they ran that play before in the game. And you stopped it. I don't understand why you would not drop back further to stop that play. You know exactly what's coming. I don't give a damn who's coming under the shallow cross. I don't care.
Right.
It does not matter whether it's Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Aaron Jones. It does not matter who it is.
Right.
They won't be able to get down far enough. You guys are one of the most secure tackling teams in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They're not going to break it out for a touchdown. It won't happen. So just let them do the dump off stuff. Let that clock continue running. They don't have any timeouts. Let them do it. They'll run it. Let them chip their way and continue to try to move by every 5 yards down the field with only 37 seconds left. That's perfectly fine. The only thing that can't happen is you let Devontae Adams above you, and that's exactly what you let happen.
Right.
It is so frustrating. That play itself, I was like, I just saw it develop, and I was just like, oh, come on, you got to drop deeper than that. You know where he is.
Yeah, down the stretch, they mental mistakes
imploded.
You just cannot. They cannot happen. Schottenheimer, you got to do. Shanahan, Shanahan, you got to do better than this.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you come from a better stock than this.
All right, well, that's week 3 in a nutshell. There's other games in there. Obviously, the Bills 43-21. Panthers looked fantastic on Thursday night, 24-9. But those were some of the key games, some of the key things that happened. But yeah, great week for football. Horrible week to be either a Bears or a Kansas City Chiefs fan. But hey, or a Jets fan for that matter. God, Jets suck. But let's go ahead and put week 3 to rest, and we will move on to week 4.